What's up, everybody? It's Glenn back with Big Jack for another best bets of the NFL weekend. Last week, Jack managed to go 2-1 while I went 1-2. Jack is approaching 500 pretty quickly, moving to 15, 16-2 on the season. I'm still down in the dumps. I'm still struggling. I'm at 13, 19-1, staring down the barrel of a really just embarrassing season. But Jack, it's good to have you back. Let's hopefully make some good picks this Thanksgiving week, and let's get your momentum uh, building on that 2-1 record from last week. Get you above 500, and let's get me moving in the right direction. What do you say about that?
Exactly, man. Back to back weeks now, floating above 500, getting in, coming in at that skewing towards 67% clip. Like we kind of mentioned at the halfway point, not the start anyone would ever hope for, but hopefully we got a better grasp down the stretch and can get the ship rolling in a positive direction. The past 2 weeks, I think, we've sort of done that. So got to keep it moving.
Absolutely. All right, let's get right into the picks. I know you got an early morning tomorrow with Thanksgiving travel ahead of you, but my first pick of the week is going to be the Titans plus 1.5 at home versus the Bengals. I think the Titans are just a very solid team. They're getting 1.5 points at home. I think they'll be able to run the ball against the Bengals. I like them. I like their chances to win the game, so I'm going to take them plus 1.5. Titans plus 1.5 at home versus Cincinnati. Also, Titans coming off that win over Green Bay where they pretty much dominated. That was a Thursday night game, so they got that like little mini bye week type situation that some of the teams have been referring to. Titans plus 1.5 at home versus Cincinnati. That's my first pick of the week.
I'll be honest. I love the Bengals this year. It's one of the teams I've probably had the most success with. Um, not needing to jump into like tracking every little pick, but I've
Sure.
done well with the Bengals. I like that team. I hold Joe Burrow in as high regard as anybody. For my money, he's right up there behind only Mahomes. I don't even know if I love Josh Allen any more than I do Joe Burrow personally. But yeah, I will say that I was kind of looking at that game, thinking it was a peculiar line, and leaning the Bengals again. But I'm not picking them, so certainly didn't love them enough. And
Sure.
no one's on a bye this week, so there's a lot of options out on the board. But yeah, I can't say I love that pick, but I'm not going against it by any means either.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I will say I like the Bengals too. I think Burrow's for sure top six quarterback in the league, maybe number two. He's up there. I mean, he's a stud. The Bengals are a good team. There's a reason they went to the Super Bowl last year, but you also know I'm a big fan of the Titans, and I like the way they're coached. I like the way they play. I'll take them plus 1.5 at home against almost anybody in the league. Like the Chiefs, I'd be worried. The Bills, I'd be worried. Um, other than that, I kind of like the plus 1.5 against anybody.
that's a very good point. At home, home dog, that good of a team, that good of a staff, and their track record they've had the past 3, 4 years now. It's very salient point on your part. The
Yep.
only thing that does cause a little concern as well, I'm not sure, but I think there's a chance Jamar Chase plays this week. In
Okay.
which case,
That's a
I
game
wouldn't.
changer. Yep. That's a
Yeah, I
game
wouldn't. I
changer
wouldn't. I wouldn't love that for you. But also, if he's not playing, I think that line is very very tasty.
for sure.
But I'm gonna go into my first pick. Like you sort of mentioned, we're doing it early this week. It's
Yep.
Tuesday, so we've done a couple early on in the week, but this is a little more ahead of schedule. I'm actually gonna go to Thursday, Thanksgiving, and I'm gonna play the early game. I'm gonna take the Bills. Right now they're laying 10. It might drift back a little bit to that 9.5. It's taxing only at minus 105 right now for those 10 points. But they're at Detroit. They're on the road. Big national spot, Thanksgiving Day. Bills got it done against Cleveland. Kind of was a weird backdoor cover situation for Cleveland last week. The Bills are floating at, I think, 7-3 now, but they haven't really been rolling teams over the way that, I think a lot of people anticipated them to. And I think, Thursday is just a get right day for them. Detroit's riding a high of that back to back road wins. They're improved, but I still don't think they're ready for the Bills on a national game. I think Buffalo goes in there. Hopefully, they're a little comfortable with the familiarity of just playing in Detroit a couple days ago. And, I know they're not the most healthy team right now, which I don't love on a short week, but I think they go in there, lay it down, and cover the 10.
Yeah, if I had to pick a side, I'd be with you on Buffalo. I think Detroit's won 3 games in a row, and they're a nice little story they got going on. But their defense is bad, and I see the Bills being able to basically do whatever they want, and then they'll make a couple stops. So if I were to pick a side, I pick the Bills. I'm not picking them this week though. We go 3 games a week. My next pick is my favorite pick of the week. I'm going Atlanta +4 at the Washington Commanders. Um, the reason I'm going with this pick is it is terrible. It's terrible reasoning, but I've watched the Bears play both of these teams. Washington is not good. Atlanta's not great either, but Atlanta's got some fight in them, and I see both of these teams. So if Atlanta wins this game, both these teams are 6-6, and that makes way more sense to me than the Commanders being 7-5. I just don't see it. So I'm going Falcons +4. I see them with a lot of fight at Washington, keeping this game close, potentially winning the game outright as a 4-point dog, but they're going to cover the number. Atlanta +4 at Washington, second pick of the week.
Absolutely impossible to find any flaw whatsoever in that logic. But I do think that Washington is maybe a little bit of a different team right now than they were a few weeks back
Fair.
when they played the Bears at Soldier Field in that Thursday night game. But yeah, I don't think they're world beaters by any mean. Atlanta's been competitive all year. They might be the best team against the spread in the league. I don't know for sure, but
They
they're
started like
definitely up
6-0
there.
or something.
Yeah, they're definitely up there if they're not the best. Cowboys are probably super good too. But yeah, no, I certainly am not laying for the Commanders against probably anybody, but maybe the team they just rolled over down in Houston. My second pick, I'm getting a lot of work in early this week. I'm going to stick to Thanksgiving.
Wow.
I already picked the early game. Now I'm going to turn to the late game. There's a million reasons why I shouldn't take this pick. Amongst the many are primetime Kirk Cousins, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go against the trend for this one, and I'm going to take Minnesota. I'm showing them laying 2.5 right now. I think they win the game by a field goal. They just got embarrassed. It's a short week for them, but I don't know if you watched that game or if it was a national game out in Chicago area, but they pulled it because it was such
Yeah.
a blowout. They put on the Steelers Bengals game instead. And the Vikings rested a lot of their guys the second half.
Okay.
They just got embarrassed at home. I think they come out hungry, trying to, prove it again in a national spot. A lot of people are, talking about how they're the most fraudulent team ever, the first 8-2 team with a negative point differential. There's a lot of negative talk around an 8-2 team. And I think they go out and play like a hungry dog looking to, show everyone that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC.
I can't wait to see what your third pick is. I gotta imagine it's the third Thanksgiving game, but can't wait to see. All right, my last pick of the week. Cleveland's got one more game before Deshaun Watson comes back. Some conspiracy theorists think that the NFL fixed that because they're going up against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That they made it 11 games to help out old Tom, but it is a noon game. I like Tom to go into Cleveland and to cover the number, which is 3. Uh, they're 500, I think, right now. I think they're 5-5. They got to make a move if they're going to make the playoffs and make some kind of run. Obviously, their division's not very strong, but I think Tom's going to want them playing some of their best football heading into the playoffs. Tampa -3 at Cleveland. That's my third pick of the week, and I see a 3-0 board ahead of me.
Love that one. I agree with what you said about, yeah, they're still winning their division, so they're in good shape playoff wise, but they're going to want to be getting it rolling in the right direction and kind of carry that momentum on the way in. My last pick, and they're coming off a bye, so
They are coming off a bye,
they
which is
they should
great.
be ready to go. My last pick, It's one of the things I do usually 2 or 3 times a year. I always hate it. I'm actually 0-1. I've only done it once this year, and I lost. I took the Vikings against the Bears, but I'm going to take the Jets this week. They're laying 4.5 right now. A lot of uncertainty around the quarterback situation. I assuming Vegas is already adjusted for Justin Fields, probably not playing. I don't know if I'm getting any sort of bargain by getting in early. I don't think it's necessarily going to widen. Um, I think if anything, if Fields plays, it would probably narrow a bit. But I think there's no shot he plays this week. The Falcons were the worst pass rush defense in the NFL by far going into last week, and they got after us with absolutely no problems whatsoever. The Jets are an excellent defense, and I just have no idea how the Bears are going to deal with that or how they're going to move the ball if Fields isn't out there, doing it with his legs. Maybe Simeon is a little bit more advanced in the way he's able to read defenses in the pass game. Maybe he's, getting the ball out, doing a couple of those things that Fields has been struggling with, but I'm not sure it's enough to keep them in the game. I know the Jets have their own issues right now, not even committing to Zach Wilson as a starter. But I think if anything, that's just going to rally the defensive side of the ball. They're going to go out there, stake their claim. And I think, whoever does end up starting, whether it is Wilson or if they turn to Flacco or White, whoever it may be, I think that they are well coached and, have a decent enough talent gap between them and the Bears if Fields is not in the lineup where it should be a touchdown game.
I agree. I mean, this is an obvious line. 4.5 points at home for the Jets. Um, yeah, I mean, it feel like it should be 7.5, not 4.5. I don't know how the Bears are going to compete this week. To be honest, I've said it a few times this year, most notably against the Patriots, where they went in and surprisingly won. That being said, if Fields is out, I mean, our defense can't stop anybody. So we're giving up 24 minimum, probably closer to 30 minimum. And if Simeon's in there, our wide receivers don't get open. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a home run pick. I didn't go with it, but it seems like the best pick of the week, to be honest. But all right, quick recap. I am on the Titans at home versus the Bengals plus 1.5. The Falcons +4 at Washington, and the Buccaneers -3 at Cleveland. Jack is on the Bills -10 on Thanksgiving at Detroit. The Vikings -2.5 on Thanksgiving at home versus the Patriots. And then lastly, he's on the Jets -4.5 at home versus the Bears. 6-0. That's what I see. We're due. One of these parlays got to hit.
Hey, man, if you believe, it's that time of year, man. It's Christmas season rolling around. You just got to believe, baby.
I will say it's going to be hard for us to ever hit a parlay when I'm dropping the records I'm dropping. So I got to do my part, and you'll give us a chance. But
Hey, I always say don't do the parlays, but at the way things are going, you might as well, because if you hit one, you cover a lot of ground pretty quickly.
Exactly. All right, those are the picks. Tune in next week for next week's picks. Everybody out there have a happy Thanksgiving. Me and Jack love you. Enjoy your time with your families, hopefully, and enjoy your bets responsibly. Enjoy the football. See you next week. Peace.